Hello and welcome to Chaos Theory, the news is seen by AI. I'm Beatrix Kiddo, and I'm broadcasting to you from the void, where even the coffee is artificial. But don't worry, I've got plenty of real news to share with you today, September 27th, 2024. We're starting off with a story that will make you appreciate the hummingbird's extreme lifestyle and how these tiny birds have evolved to thrive in such challenging conditions. And speaking of challenges, we'll be discussing the recent suspension of a journalist on the free speech platform X after they published a stolen Trump document. If you're one of the millions of Americans who may be suffering from an overlooked iron deficiency, you'll want to stick around for our next story, which offers some surprising insights into this common condition. And for all you space enthusiasts out there, we have some new photos of the NASA Mars rover's wheels, which have developed some holes over time, but are still turning strong. Things are getting a little wild at the CERN particle accelerator, where something unexpected has just happened, and we'll be exploring the details of this intriguing development. And finally, we'll be delving into the fascinating world of superstitions and examining why so many of us buy into beliefs like Friday the 13th. So, grab your favorite artificial beverage and settle in for another episode of Chaos Theory, the news is seen by AI, where we separate the signal from the noise and bring you the stories that matter. Hummingbirds are fascinating creatures that have captured the attention of scientists for years. According to a story reported by Bob Holmes in Knowable magazine, researchers have discovered some unique adaptations that allow these tiny birds to cope with the extreme demands of their lifestyles. One of the most surprising findings is that hummingbirds spend much more time feeding than previously thought. In fact, during times when flowers are scarce, they may spend up to 13 hours a day feeding and only 20% of their time perching. To conserve energy, hummingbirds can go into a state of torpor at night, dropping their body temperature nearly to that of the surrounding air, and saving up to 95% of their hourly metabolic costs. To fuel their sky-high metabolic rate, hummingbirds consume about 80% of their body weight in nectar each day. They have adapted to this sugar-rich diet by having leaky guts that allow sugars to enter the bloodstream quickly, avoiding the stomach upset that humans experience when consuming too much sugar. Hummingbirds also have evolved to be remarkably nimble at switching their metabolism from sugar burning to fat burning, allowing them to wake up and fly after a nightly fast. Hummingbirds face many challenges, including living at high elevations where thin air contains less oxygen and offers less resistance to push against when hovering. To cope with these conditions, some species have evolved more hemoglobin-rich blood. In my opinion, hummingbirds are truly amazing creatures that have adapted to their environment in remarkable ways. The fact that they can consume such large amounts of sugar without experiencing the negative effects that humans do is fascinating, and their ability to switch between sugar-burning and fat-burning metabolism is impressive. I look forward to learning more about these tiny, incredible birds in the future. Matt Novak reported that journalist Ken Klippenstein was suspended from Elon Musk's social media platform X after publishing an internal document from Donald Trump's presidential campaign. The document was allegedly stolen by hackers tied to the Iranian government and was deemed uninteresting by various news outlets before being published by Klippenstein. X's spokesperson claimed that Klippenstein was suspended for posting unredacted private personal information, specifically Senator J.D. Vance's physical addresses and the majority of his Social Security number. However, the information is easily accessible online, and the Social Security number appears to be incomplete. The document, which was intended to vet Vance as Trump's running mate, contains mostly public news articles and some voter registration, investment, and property tax records. It also includes an analysis of Vance's strengths and weaknesses as a potential candidate. In my opinion, Klippenstein's suspension raises questions about X's commitment to free speech and the inconsistency in enforcing its rules. While the document may not contain any groundbreaking information, the decision to suspend Klippenstein for publishing it seems arbitrary and selective. The fact that the information is easily accessible online also calls into question the platform's rationale for suspending him. Overall, this incident highlights the challenges and complexities of balancing free speech and privacy in the digital age. According to new research, an estimated 1 in 3 Americans have some form of iron deficiency, reported by Ed Cara. Scientists at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston analyzed data from the National Health and Nutritional Examination Survey and found that about 14% of people had absolute iron deficiency, meaning they do not have enough stored iron in their body, and another 15% had functional iron deficiency, meaning they have adequate stored iron but are unable to use it properly. Iron deficiency is often linked to anemia, but the researchers found that the condition was still relatively common, even in people without anemia or other relevant health issues. Among those without anemia, heart failure, chronic kidney disease, or pregnancy, 11% still had absolute iron deficiency and 15% had functional iron deficiency. The researchers note that iron deficiency has been linked to other problems such as restless leg syndrome, impaired cognitive function, and possibly even an earlier death. They also found that people with iron deficiency are only infrequently taking iron supplements, suggesting that many people are unaware of their low iron levels. The researchers say that more work needs to be done to understand the risk factors behind iron deficiency, and that current screening recommendations for low iron may need to be revised. Personally, I find it concerning that such a large proportion of the population may be suffering from iron deficiency without even realizing it. It's important to be aware of the potential signs of iron deficiency, such as fatigue and hair loss, and to speak with a healthcare provider if you suspect you may be at risk. NASA's Curiosity rover has been exploring Mars since 2012, and its aluminum wheels have taken a beating from the harsh terrain. New images show some dramatic gaping holes in the wheels, but NASA isn't worried. The rover team has been monitoring the wheels for years and has developed some clever solutions to extend their life. The team scrutinizes the rover's path and tries to avoid particularly nasty terrain. And Curiosity is also able to drive backward over rough patches to reduce the strain on certain wheels. The rover regularly checks up on its wheels and takes multiple sets of images to assess their state and health. Despite the damage, Curiosity has covered over 20 miles on Mars and is still going strong, conducting important science work, including analyzing rocks and studying the history of water on Mars. The newer Perseverance rover, which landed in a different Mars crater in 2021, has a modified wheel design to prevent the issues Curiosity has experienced. Personally, I think it's incredible that Curiosity has been able to endure such harsh conditions on Mars for so long, and it's a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the NASA team. It's amazing to think about all the discoveries Curiosity has made and the insights it has provided into the history of water on Mars and the potential for life on the planet. I'm excited to see what Curiosity and Perseverance will uncover in the future. Scientists at CERN have made a significant discovery in the world of particle physics. As reported by Frank Landymore, researchers observed an ultra-rare form of decay for a subatomic particle called a kaon, which is one of the rarest interactions in particle physics ever observed. The decay, known as a golden channel, was predicted by the standard model of particle physics with a high degree of precision. However, the observed decay rate was about 50% more frequent than what was predicted by the standard model. This discrepancy will need to be reconciled, but it is not necessarily the death knell of the Standard Model. The researchers caught the kaons in the elusive act about 13 in 100 billion times, which is extraordinarily rare. This is the most precise detection of its kind to date, with a significance of 5 standard deviations, or 5 sigma, which is the standard for making a discovery in particle physics. In my opinion, this discovery is a major breakthrough in the field of particle physics. It highlights the importance of continued research and experimentation in the subatomic world, as it could lead to a new understanding of the Standard Model of particle physics. The fact that the observed decay rate was significantly higher than what was predicted by the Standard Model is particularly intriguing, and I am excited to see how this discovery will be further explored and built upon in the future. Friday the 13th may bring out superstitions in those with triskaidekaphobia. But according to a story reported by Michael Malone of the University of Miami, superstitions are pervasive and powerful in all areas of life, even among those who don't consider themselves superstitious. Superstitions are defined as irrational beliefs or practices that have no basis in fact, yet are treated as legitimate conduct. Lab experiments have found evidence of superstitious thinking in all people, even self-declared atheists. People are more likely to display superstitious behavior under high stakes, uncertainty, lack of control, and stress or anxiety. Superstitions are aimed at managing supernatural reward and punishment and are a feature of human nature found in all people. Most people know that their superstitious practices offer no true value, yet they still do it. Catherine Newell, an associate professor in the Religious Studies Department at the University of Miami, suggests that modern science and superstitions run into each other at the notion of falsifiability. The true test of a scientific theory is whether the conclusions reached by the application of the scientific method to a question can be proven wrong. In my opinion, superstitions may not have a basis in fact, but they can provide comfort and a sense of control in uncertain situations. Whether it's wearing a lucky jersey or avoiding cracks in the sidewalk, superstitions can be a harmless way to cope with stress and anxiety. However, it's important to recognize the difference between superstition and science, and not to rely on superstitions to make important decisions or to explain complex phenomena. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI, on 2024-9/27. I am Beatrix Kiddo, your daily host, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. We hope you found today's news summary informative and engaging. Before we go, we'd like to remind you that AI-based news summaries should always be fact-checked prior to sharing. It's essential to ensure the accuracy of the information we consume and disseminate. On this day in history, in 1905, Albert Einstein published his groundbreaking paper introducing the special theory of relativity. This fascinating event reminds us of the importance of scientific progress and innovation. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow for more news, and please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform to stay up to date with our daily episodes. Until then, have a great day and stay curious.